Hey guys, welcome to my another video on AWS. Today we will look into Elastic Container Service (ECS). So we will try and deploy our application into the containers in ECS. All right. So doing today is we will create the application load balancer. We'll create a target group, and then we will register our containers inside our target group, and then we will map the ports to the container port. For example, let's see in the diagram, as you can see, we will create the application load balancer like so, and then we will create the port mapping, yeah, to the Elastic container instances, all right? So, so for more information in today's demo, we will use Docker HTTPD. This is a Apache HTTP server. So let's begin our demo. So first of all, let me go to the EC2, okay, and go to security, network and security groups. So let's create two security groups, okay. One is for ALB, and another one is for ECS. So for that purpose, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my security groups console, click on create security group, and now I'll name this as ALB SG. I'm going to name something like 2 because I already have one, which I've used for another purpose. So I think I'm going to enter a security group ALB LG all TCP to anywhere. Okay, that looks good. And instance, that's a point later. Anywhere, and I'm going to add another one which is all TCP and choose anywhere. No, I'm going to choose my ALB because I already have my security group, because my container should be allowed from ALB but not from like anywhere, right? So I'm going to choose ALB SG2 in my case. Create security group. So now that you should be able to create your security group, and I think then the next step that what we're going to do is go to the key pair and create a key pair to log into our ECS container instance. All right. So create pair. I'm going to choose my ECS, or maybe something like ECS key pair. All right. So maybe this is good. Create key pair. Just remove this. Okay. So I have ECS key pair. Okay. So now that you have created your key pair to log in to SSH into your ECS container instance, so now that you're in a good place, right? So what I'm going to do is go to ALB application load balancer and create a application load balancer. Okay, so I already have one, but I'm going to create another one for the demo purpose, which is application load balancer. Click on create. So load balancer name, which is HTTP, something like HTTP the hyphen load balancer, right? A bit name is a bit lengthy, but you can choose the short names as well. It's totally up to you. And go back to the VPC, which is default. I think you can leave it. Choose US East 1A AZ and US East 1B AZ. I think 2 is enough. So remove the default one and select the ALB SG2 in my case. So this is my application load balancer. And so basically, we do not have a target group, right? So I'm going to create a target group. Click on target group link down below, instances, go to target group name, which is something like, what I'm going to do is ECS, ECS target group maybe I'm going to put 3 in my case. So okay, leave the VPC default, HTTP port, HTTP protocol. I think that's it, right? I think, yeah, I think that should be it. Click on next. Now that you have so there are no available instances at the moment. I'm going to create a target group. Okay, this is my new target group. Okay, so after we create a target group, you can close this window because you have created this, you have opened the load balancer previously. I think you have opened the target group from the load balancer window, from this window. So I think you can just close this tab and just refresh it here. You should be able to see your target group, which is ECS target group -3. In my case, scroll down a bit. You do not need any global accelerator. Is there anything that I needed to cover here? HTTP load balance, VPC, AZs, security group LBSG2. This is my target group, and everything looks good. Let's go ahead and create a load balancer. All right. So now that you have created a load balancer, your load balancer has been provisioned. So I think it might take some time. So meantime, what we can do is we can go to ECS, which is our Elastic Container Service. And now we're going to create a cluster. All right. So do I have any clusters already? I do not have anything. So click on create cluster EC2 Linux plus networking. This is what I'm going to choose because I want to deploy my tasks definition file into my EC2 networking. I need a networking capabilities for my container. So for my task, so what I'm going to do is select EC2 Linux plus networking. So this is what I'm going to provide for my container. So click on next step. Now you're in the cluster name. Okay. So what you're going to give a cluster name is something like my ECS cluster. Okay. I don't want to create any empty clusters. I'm going to choose on-demand instances. I'm going to choose t2.micro. So I've hit my keyboard. As soon as you open this, you can select, you can start typing so that it will select this for you. Or if you choose easy to enter, then you can choose manually. You can directly enter it. But in my case, I've chosen from drop down number of instances 1. I think you can leave Linux to AMI. You can leave this. We have created a key pair, which is ECS key pair, ECS -key pair. And then if you go down, you can select a default VPC subnets. I think I'll choose 1A and 1B in my case. If you go, yeah, that's 1B. So I've chosen US East 1A, US East 1B. I'm happy with my settings. Leave use subnet setting for auto assign public IP for select. For security group, I think I'm gonna choose ECSSG3 in my case. Okay, I have a bunch of security groups, but I think this is the one that I've created. And then you can leave the default values. Okay, you can leave the rest of the values and click on create cluster. So I think we have created a cluster now. I think it might take a minute or a couple of minutes, so that you can, once it is ready, you can see the cluster. You can view the cluster, and our cluster needs to create a desired number of instances, which is 1 in this case. So it might take a couple of minutes or 5 minutes. Instance will be ready, but at this point of time, the cluster is ready, but my ECS instance is not yet ready. Okay, so if I go back to my EC2 instance window, I don't see anything running at the moment. So just refresh it a couple of times. It should be able to, yeah, there you go. So it has created a ECS instance, EC2 container service, my ECS cluster. This is my cluster name. All right. So I was able to create a EC2 instance from my ECS cluster. If you go back to ECS, yeah, I don't see anything here. ECS instances, just refresh it a couple of times. You should be able to see your ECS instance. Now I'm going to hit refresh a couple of times. There you go. Now you can see one container instance, right? So we have one container instance which is running. If you go to your cluster, click on ECS instance, you should be able to see your ECS instance. Okay, I hope that is clear so far. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a task definitions. Okay, task definition. So this is how I'm gonna deploy a Docker container, which is HTTPD in my case, which is an Apache HTTP server. Okay, maybe let's go to task definitions first. Okay, create a new task definition. I will choose EC2 in my case. Click on next. What is the task name that I wanted to give? Is ECS task definition. Um, I think maybe I'll put one. Okay, and I'm gonna go and choose default task role. I don't want to select anything from here. From network mode, I'm gonna choose bridge. Task execution role, I think you can leave this for now. And um, in the task size, right, I'm gonna choose my task memory as something like 250 task memory and total memory, and task CPU units, which is 256. In my case, I'm going to choose 256. And then you can add a container. Like I said, we will be adding a HTTPD container. All right. And then I'm going to choose HTTPD 2.4. For memory limits, I'm going to choose 250 in my case. Port mappings, let the port mapping be 080, which is nothing but the host port and the container port, right? We will be running our app inside our Docker container and inside our ECS container, right? So we need to map the port, right? Like our application load balancer is running on 80, and the container port is running on 80. So we need to tell the task definition, right? That we need to map the port from the host port 0 to the container port 80. So I think now it looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on add down below, and yeah, you have now added the container image. Okay, and if you scroll down to the bottom, I don't think you need proxy configuration, service integration, log router integration. I don't think you need any of those. Click on create. Maybe before creating, I think you can just double check what you have already entered, like ECS task definition. This is my name, network mode, task memory. I've added my container and looks good. All right, so now I'm going to click on create. So I've now successfully created a task definition. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my clusters. Okay, so this is my cluster. Click on my cluster, click on my ECS cluster, and now create a service. Okay, so if I go to services tab inside my ECS cluster, okay, click on create. And so a service lets you specify how many copies of the task definition to run and maintain in the cluster, right? So in the cluster, how many copies of the task definition should be deployed. So in my case, because I'm using an application load balancer, I want to have three copies of task definition. So for that reason, I'm going to choose EC2, and I'm going to choose what's the name again? Maybe it's task definition 1, right? I think so. So in my cluster, my ECS cluster, okay, make sure it is my ECS cluster, and make sure you select EC2, my ECS cluster, service name. So what is my service name here? I'm going to enter something like ECS HTTPD. Okay, leave replica, number of tasks. I want 3 tasks to be deployed, minimum healthy percentage, maximum 200. You can leave these defaults, rolling update, AZ balance spread, and okay, so AZ balance spread. And you can click on next step. Okay, and now I'm going to choose application load balancer, and I'm going to click on create a new role. I don't want anything from here, so I want service IAM role to be create a new role. And this is my load balancer, which is HTTP load balancer, or answer. This is the new one that I've created, HTTP load balancer. And now you need to click on the add to load balancer, and now I'm going to choose AT HTTP. I'm going to choose ECS target group 3. This is my latest target group. I think it looks good, and click on next step. I think you can leave this default, and in the review section you can see my ECS cluster, EC2 launch type. This is my task definition, service name, replica, number of tasks is 3, HTTP container, HTTP load balancer. This is my target group. Default path is slash, and that means root path. Okay, now it looks good, and go ahead and create the service, and look at that. So it takes a couple of minutes. Okay, so it is trying to create the service with the three task definitions. All right. So now that it created a ECS service, go to view service, and you can see the status is pending. Keep refreshing a couple of times. You should see the status running. But if you go to the service, right, service which is inside, so just to clear, if you have any confusion, inside my ACS cluster, you can see services tab. I've created a service which is ACS HTTPD. All right, with the 3 tasks. All right, I've created now, as you can see now, I've created 3 task definition container. This is my container instance. I've created 3 tasks inside my container. So now that it is running three images, yeah. And now if you go to my service, okay, if you go to ECS HTTPD service, you can click on events. Okay, so you can see all these events which has happened, which is service has been reached steady state, registered 3 targets in target group, you have started 3 tasks. These are the tasks, and you can see all these tasks here. So we want to test the HTTPD container, right, in the ECS cluster. So what you're going to do is go back to the my ECS cluster and click on ECS instances, like so. Click on ECS instance. When you click on this, you go back, you go to the EC2 instances section. As you can see, my instance is actually running. All right, so make sure this is the same EC2 instance. Yeah, that is correct. Now if you select this instance and pull this up a bit, copy the public IPv4, and open up. So I think what we're going to do now is let's create, okay, let's SSH into our EC2 instance, and then we will log in into our instances. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do is right click on my terminal window. I'm going to do new window, default pro. So I'm going to move this on the right side, and this is going to be on the left side. Okay, this is a nice experience for me. Um, so basically, you selected your so okay, maybe maximize this for a bit. So you have selected your ECS instance. Okay, now go back to the connect. Go to the connect section. You can see this is the key pair that we are using. Just copy this, and my file is being downloaded into downloads folder. So I'm going to cd into downloads. So let's go to downloads. Okay, I do have a file called ECS key pair. Okay, I'm going to give the permission to my ECS key pair file. So okay, and now go back to my connect to instance section in EC2. I'm just simply going to copy this command which is down here and paste this, enter, and just type yes. You should be able to connect to your EC2 instance successfully, right? So now that you have created, now that you have launched your EC2 instance from your console, okay, and move this onto the right side. This is my terminal over here. Let me just maximize this a bit so that it will be pretty clear. So now that I have logged into my EC2 console, I'm gonna go to my root access. I'll get the root access. Okay, for that I'm going to type sudo su. All right, and now that I have entered as a root user, now I'm going to update. I'm going to get the latest updates by using yum-y update. This is a Linux update. So I'm going to run this, and shortly we will see. We will run the Docker version, and then we will see, and we will list the Docker images because that's what we have deployed from our task definitions. Right, as soon as this update is completed, we will look into the Docker version. Docker, we will list these images, and we will try and enter each Docker, each instance, and create a HTML file in each instance, so that we will be able to look at those files from the application load balancer. So for now, so now that my update is complete, okay, I'm gonna clear my console. Just type clear, and now I'm gonna do something like Docker version. Okay, let's see, that's my version, which is 20.10.17. Okay, so I'm gonna go and list all my images, which is Docker PS. Okay, maximize this window. So now it is much clearer. So this is my container instance ID. You can see this is HTTPD image, HTTP foreground, up 6 seconds ago, and this is my port numbers. All right, and yeah, I think let's zoom out a bit. Okay, Control minus, or maybe I think I'll zoom this a bit. I hope this is clear. All right. So what I need from here is these port numbers, okay, and also these container images, container IDs. Okay, so I'm gonna log into each of these containers and create a file called index.html. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is Docker exec -it, and I'm going to give the container ID, which is something like this. Copy paste the container ID, and I'm going to go to bin bash. Okay, this is my root folder. Now if you do ls, you can see all these folders inside my user/local/apache2. This is my httpd location. Okay, now I'm just gonna create a file called index.html. Okay, echo response coming from. I'm gonna create a. So I have this port number, right? So what I'm gonna do is copy the port number, paste it. Okay, just remove that. Response is coming from this port number. All right, and we will append this text to a file called inside index.html, which is inside htdocs, which is here. Okay, htdocs/index. Now that you should be able to echo this into index.html. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to do something like, okay, let's clear this window. Cat htdocs index html. So now you can see I have created a file called index.html inside htdocs. Okay, now we will do we'll exit from this container instance number one. Okay, I've successfully exit. Now again, I'm going to do docker ps because I've lost my container IDs. This is my container ID, and we're going to repeat the same steps for these for the other containers, which is this one and this one. All right. I'm going to run the following command again, the same command. See it container ID /bin/bash. Oops. Bash. All right. Okay. So again, we'll try to run the same command. I think I might have lost it. So that's for that reason I'm going to do ls. I can see my htdocs folder here. So echo response coming from port number 49154, and I'm going to append it to htdocs/index. All right, ls cat htdocs index. You can see now we have appended this text into htdocs index.html in my second container instance. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing on my third container instance. Okay, exit from your second container instance, and for the third one, simply copy the command until docker exe. So just reducing, making sure I'm going to save at least a couple of seconds, and /bin/bash. All right, so now I've logged in into third container instance. What I'm going to do, ls, I'm going to list it, and echo response coming from server response coming from port number 49153. This is my third instance, and then I'm gonna append it into my index.html like so. Okay, awesome. htdocs. Now again, cat. I want to view the contents of my file, which is htdocs/index/index. So now you see this file, right, with the port number. So I think we are now good. We have created index.html for all these container instances. Okay, so now you can happily exit your third container instance. All right, so I'm back into my EC2, the root user. Okay, okay, so now we have uh, successfully created a container instances with some dummy data in the HTML files, and now it is time to test the load balancer. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to click on this breadcrumb, sorry, the hamburger menu, and go to the target groups. Okay, so in my case, my target group was ECS target 3. All right, so now you can see all my healthy instances here. Maybe maximize the window, so you can see all my healthy instances. Total targets 3. Okay, and now let's go back to the load balancer, which is here, and click on the load balancer that I've created, which is HTTP load balancer. Copy the, okay, this looks good, and copy the DNS name and open up a new tab and click on enter. Okay, now you can see the response is from port number 49153. Refresh a couple of times, you can see 4154, refresh 155. You can see all my different pages load balancing successfully with ECS cluster instances, right? Which is kind of cool. All right, I hope you guys have enjoyed my video. If you guys have enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. I've taken a lot of time to create this, and I'm happy to create more and more videos and demos and stuff like that. Please feel free to add your comments in the comment section below, and please subscribe to my channel. I hope I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.